Here we go. Hi, guys. Is everybody ready? You can, so I'm Christine Altenhofen-Sonner. I have been a part of FIRST. I'm going to kind of move on to my next slide here. First of all, this is my icebreaker. So this is my dog. So if you see my video in the background, he always hangs out with me back here. I work from home. I have for the last 10 years. It's been quite an interesting last few months, I should have to say. But anyway, he's my coworker. He is the employee of the month. And he does sit like this in my car occasionally. But yeah, he's a ton of fun. So if we get time, we'll kind of introduce him once he wakes up. He's napping after his dog park run. So anyway, again, I'm Christine Altenhofen-Sonner. I'm an entrepreneur. I own a small business called Gooch Gooch Creative, LLC. I've been a part of Medtronic since 1993. I'm one of kind of similar to Wendy, who gave this introduction earlier, was about, she's sort of into the marketing role. Well, I also coach FTC, Lego League. So my years of that have always been mentoring sort of the same group of kids. So ever since they were like little in 4th grade, I've raised that same group of kids all the way through the FTC program. FRC was an option for my team, but we felt like we were getting a little bit more better hands-on, and we were like a home-brewed team. So we just kept going with 86, which is my FTC team. So the two people that co-wrote this little presentation, again, my content comes from 2019. I don't know what happened in 2020, but kind of sad, if you ask me. But Grant Altenhofen is part of 8686, and he was also part of 14522 in the last couple of years. In 2017-18, he was a world championship and a captain world championship in 2017, and they part of the Festival of Champions. And then part of that team also was Katie Rydell. She was also, so now she's a project engineer at 3M. And speaking to the same gentleman that was just on the call earlier about how FIRST has been so, influential in his life and moving forward and having great connections. So stick with FIRST. I mean, yeah, it's a crazy year right now, but it does provide so many doors and open avenues that are quite incredible. And I do have to go back to another comment that was said earlier, and I think that was from Wendy again, is the people that she met through FIRST are so polished and so wonderfully equipped to answer questions. And especially if you go into the engineering or biomedical engineering field or mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, even if it's not that, even if it's graphic design like me, even though I work with electrical engineers and, surgeons, neurosurgeons, I work with a lot as well. And so it just is a wonderful, wonderful program. I can't say enough about it. And so today I have to run off and coach my Lego League team virtually via Discord. So it's been quite a challenge this year, but wonderful too. We've all stayed connected. So so info you get out of visuals. So I also want to kind of, this is 2019 information. Again, what happened in 2020 was quite sad. But anyway, in FTC, we have 203 teams, and this is up from last year, again, data from 2019. I really encourage any of the FRC teams to go out and mentor some of these kids. So part of that Chairman's Award, when you're out helping the program and really motivating other FL teams or FTC teams, really bodes well with some of the judges, especially in that Chairman's Award if you're going for that. So any teams that you can mentor and sponsor is also well. So by a raise of hands, I can't see everyone's participants. So Polina, if we know, I want to know if anybody is part of FTC. Has anyone been a part of FTC and then moved on to FRC? No? Okay, well, I'll keep moving. So anyway, if you want to volunteer, what they are looking for in the virtual competitions this year are a lot of people who know Discord and organizing teams, stuff like that. So definitely reach out to High Tech Kids if you want to participate. So I kind of threw this slide in here at the last moment. So one of the easiest ways to ensure judges store information is your visual concepts. okay? Your math, your documentation. Visual helps judges and teammates make sense out of the content and direct attention, increasing possibilities that judges and teammates will remember the material. So I am an FRC judge. I'm going to miss it very much this year. I'll probably do it virtually, but 90% of our information is transferred through brain is visual. So when we have those visual concepts of maybe your CAD drawings, or you had this build and it failed, and so then you change this. So anything that you can, especially, and I'm not sure how FRC is going to be judged this year, but anything you can add as a visual, I give kudos to those teams. I really do, as a judge. If you pull out an engineering notebook and you show me, and you know, your team meetings, and especially in this era of what we're working with, is a group of kids can work on one thing and another group of kids can work on another thing, but what did that other team do? You got to document that, folks. That's what we do in the workforce. So we have a team of 12 people and 6 work here and 6 work here. You've got to communicate through documentation. And so know your audience. So most of the judges are engineers themselves. So what do you think they want to see? They want to see visuals, okay? So I'm not sure what happened again in 2020, but there is something in the water. I don't know how many people are here from Minnesota, but Minnesota has an overwhelming amount of people that score very highly and get many awards at Worlds. So again, this is from 2019. The Green Machine won the Chairman's Award, and then you had a Design Award from Cogsets, and then the Connect Award, and then the Think Award. Those are all teams here in Minnesota. And then you had another second place out of 16 of the 108 teams. You had one in Shoreview. So anyway, just saying that I think this has a lot to do with our local community and Medtronic, and such as the other company that Modular Tech earlier. It's companies like that that really want to reach out and mentor you guys, because it is an incredible program. So what is an engineering notebook? Okay, well, an engineering notebook is a book which an engineer will formally document chronological order of his or her work and associate with specific design projects, right? So the notebook, it details engineering process, record of a project, recorded including ideas, innovation, insights, observation, and other details relating to the progression and information. More mundane tasks such as meeting appointments are also recorded. Yes, it's work, but it is crucial, especially in how we're doing our work today. What is helpful to a team? Tangible reference tool. You can work in your favor in judging deliberations, especially if a judge is having a hard time remembering, right? Back up all stories told to judges by team members. So I don't know if you guys understand, in FRC judging, we will assess a team, we'll look at a team, and then we'll go back. And as judges, we have to fight for your team. If we see something that was really remarkable, and then if you could, you know, I've seen some teams give me flyers, okay, of their robot, okay? That's awesome because I can retain my information. I can go back and say, look at this code, look at their CAD drawings, and so forth like that. All judges have a technical background, so we recognize visuals, all right, very much so. And a notebook is way faster than you can tell me a story. So I do have to be quite honest, in my FRC judging days where I'd walk up and everyone would run, right? Nobody would come out and talk to me. There are obviously assigned people that are going to talk to you. But again, in this virtual reality, I'm not sure how it's going to work for you guys, but it is important to know the content. And if you have something, the judges at your fingertips, I mean, you're probably able to upload a notebook, and that the judge can kind of go through it while they're interviewing you at the same time. The judges may only have time for you for like 15 minutes, but they can go back to the notebook all day. Okay, so keep that in mind. And then again, this is related to being together. It isn't the pitch, but the engineering book. The judges will look through it and gather info. Okay, when you got info, it means a lot, especially when you show your math. So it's not only a learning tool for students, it's also a critical learning tool for judges when attempting to learn everything about your team. It really is, okay? For example, if a judge asks you to describe a design challenge that you had to overcome, well, document it, show it, show the design challenges, show what you had to conquer and what you had to go through. If there are other fellow judges who may or not have the time to come and talk to you, you can, that design work is also very important to see visually. So what I did, and forgive me, I've been coaching FLL and then also judging FTC. So I didn't get a chance to go back and look at this year's guidelines for rules. I know it's all over the place, and if we get to it, we'll kind of go to the FRC website and but I think these pretty much apply. So to get the autonomous award, these are the guidelines, right? A team spokesperson must be able to explain, okay, how the robot understands its surroundings, navigates on the field, the factors. But what to include code in the notebook, okay? The code is so important. That means, you know what that tells me as a judge? You did the work. If, diagrams explaining full functions and algorithms, pseudocode, strategies, those, went a little too far. Those are all so important to provide in a documentation. I can't tell you how much. And in FTC, I didn't get any hands raising to see who might have been in FTC before. You can't get any awards in FTC without an engineering notebook. So I hope and pray that FRC if you come from FTC and you move into, and you know how important that engineering notebook made it to get awards, guess what? It's also going to help you in FRC as well. So I'm going to move on to the next one. Where happened? Next slide. Okay, so the Creativity Award. Again, the same kind of spokesperson. The team's appropriate response to challenges, including machine failures, can be considered. Like again, earlier, even from Dean, failures are awesome to show. Okay, it means you learned something. As judges, we love seeing that. We love to see how you tried to solve the failure or fix the failure, right? The team that created this device strategy, rather than it discovered it once the machine was built. So I know you can kind of go back and change things this year, which is great. I've been fighting for that forever. What to include in that? What do you include in that documentation? Standard engineering process for team. So if we get time at the end, which I hope, so that's why I'm kind of racing through this, is I can show you some examples from a world champion FTC team that actually included the standard engineering process and how they worked through it, what they documented with, and it wasn't just a chart on the thing, it's giving detailed information of what they learned through that engineering process. Brainstorm session results. So I don't know if you guys have, this is kind of combination with a couple other different awards, but robots requirements list is really important. If I see that's amazing to me. Design decisions also. What were your decisions after that robot requirements document is also important. Engineering analysis tools. So what tools did you use? Did you use FMEA? Did you use different tools, engineering tools to assess, how well the robot is going to hold up in pressure or overuse or how many uses, This year's game is pretty cool. It reminds me of another game a few years ago. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see robots run and move. So CAD screens. Oh, Steve's got a picture. That's awesome. Okay, CAD screenshots and product drawings of final components. I cannot tell you how geeked out I get when I see that. I'm telling you, it is the most incredible thing, I think, to provide as a documentation, especially if we're doing virtual and we're judging you. If you can pull up that stuff, that is what you need to do. And then lessons learned throughout. Always include that. That's how we learn. And then what's awesome, if you think about it, guys, and you go back years later and you look at this stuff and you're like, wow, we did this. So I can tell you, if you've grown up since Lego League, FTC, and FRC, and you start college, you're probably at most people's senior year in college that never were part of FIRST. What you have learned in part of this program and documenting this much stuff, and this is exactly what you have to do in college, folks, you're far more ahead of the game, okay? So Excellence in Engineering Award. Again, the guidelines for this award, the design is elegant, efficient, simple, executable, practical. The system design approach and how you approached it, the reliability and maintainability is also considered in design. And the entire machine design or a detailed process used to develop design is worthy of the recognition and not just a single component. So what do we include in here? What do we include? Well, standard engineering process 14. Okay, again, I'm repeat, you're gonna hear these same things through each award that all tie in together. So if you can document it, be concise, be organized, this is the way to do it. Brainstorm session results again. This is repeat. It's like a little broken record. Engineering analysis tools, CAD screenshots, everything ties into this. So if you got that and you've got this documented, you're eligible for a lot of awards, okay? Basically what I'm trying to say. Industrial design is the same way. Reliability, maintainability. Words are hard today. Anyway, the entire machine design is a detailed process, and develop design that's worthy of its recognition, not just a single component. So this is complete, overall. Again, what to include, you're going to hear this over and over again. There we go. We don't have to go over it again, right? Drill this into your head how important this is. Action items. So lessons learned throughout and action items. What are the action items that you have to also do? So engineering inspiration, again, gonna go through this again. All right, this is a little bit different. Your team organization structure and mission and goals, okay? So again, you have to define your business plan. So engineering inspiration, I think it might be a little bit different this year. I'm not sure. You guys will have to kind of tell me. And that's another thing. So the lead part in your team, you should have somebody who knows the stuff inside and out. So it depends, again, what award you're going for. Are you going for the Big Chairman's Award? Because obviously that's a submission award. Or are you going through, I think there's an animation submission award this year. But again, it doesn't, regardless what award you're going for, this is just good stuff to have and to document. And then, because not everyone wants to work on the robot, right? So if somebody in your team member wants to take this on, this is really incredible stuff to kind of keep going. So how the team makes decisions and divides their workload. Teams keep students, mentors, and sponsors actively engaged. And how to recruit and train future team members and celebrate success and document lessons learned to prevent repeating mistakes. So team organization, structure, mission goal, please include that, document that stuff, okay? And then the Chairman's Award, again, the Big Daddy Award, the Chairman's Award is the most prestigious award in FIRST. It honors the team with the best that represents the model, okay, of the teams that emulate the best embodies the mission of FIRST. So all of this content must be and is documented in your engineering notebook. So if you have an engineering notebook and say, you guys, wow, we have done such a great job. And if you're documenting throughout the season, okay, this is easy to fill out. And every team should go for this, in my opinion, because if you have detailed information and you're consecutively just adding to it, learning from it, adding those tools, all of this stuff, your team number, your team nickname, you briefly describe your impact in FIRST. So all of this is a part of the Chairman's, right? Describe the team's initiatives to help start other teams, like I talked about earlier, FIRST Lego League, right? Go do that. Go do that if you have time. I know it's hard. Go and volunteer. Definitely do that and describe that journey. So anyway, all of this can be documented in your notebook. How to execute some of this. So these are some of the questions, and we can leave this open to questions. I don't know if I'm losing some folks because they just think I'm nuts. So we're down to 4. I don't know. I can't see. Oh, no, I got quite a few. Okay. So I'm still learning Zoom. So is the dog. Anyway, a team member in charge of documenting the sub-team could rotate and could be a sub-team member. You do need to assign somebody who's going to be the leadership of this part of this position. Coach and organize students could be a champion of all documentation leads. Ensure all documentation leads are in alignment and expectations of the team, make sure that you all agree, right? Decide a format and a template. Organize that first. It's a great preseason activity. So I know some FRC teams work all year round. FTC does, and it's some of the things that you can kind of get together. You can kind of really figure out how we're going to do this. Now, some ideas to move forward with that. I don't know why. I don't think it wants me to move. Okay. Yeah. So file management. I can't tell you how important file management is. And some teams, well, even some people at my current work don't even know file management. I can't tell you how important file management is. These are some examples of file management, so you know exactly, if you're working on a Word doc, and so say you're using Google Docs, and you've got the folder name 0123, but really it's important to put the year first, and then the month, and then the kickoff, the brainstorming, or the robot requirement. Detail in the description here is always really important. You can use file hosting services like Amazon, Google. Google Slides is great. I'm sure somebody's going to do a Google Slides for your presentation when we do virtual judging. PowerPoint, like I'm using here. I don't even know, this is so old. I don't even know who uses Dropbox anymore. But then there's like Box. And then how our team, our little Lego team, believe it or not, they're using an application called Trello. Trello is an application that assigns people tasks or jobs, and they're actually really kind of liking it. It's kind of new. I've actually incorporated it in my own household, like tasks to do. So Trello, I was going to add that to this and I totally forgot. But Trello is another great application to assign people work. And then when they get it, they can check it off or they get a reminder. So Trello is also an app that you can get. So now we're moving on to some of the other things. I'm going to kind of jump out, and I would love to open it up to questions at this point. And then I can show you some samples if you're interested in engineering notebooks. I've got some here on my desktop that I would love to share. So back to you, Paulina, if we want to open the mics, we definitely can. I'd love to see video if anyone can share their video. I love faces. I miss faces. You have no idea how much I miss hugging people as well. So, or just shaking somebody's hand too as well, and eye contact, I miss that as well. So I'm gonna jump back out here. Let's see. And I've been, don't judge me, I've been watching the Masters in the background. Okay, quit. All right, we're gonna jump out of here, close current content, and we're gonna open some notebooks here. I couldn't get into the, save that, I need that for later. Oops, that, okay, so are there any questions, first of all?
Guys, you can all go ahead, unmute yourself, and even switch on your cameras if you would like that. And we know that Kristen would appreciate that. You can also use the chat for questions.
Yeah, let me see if I can get to my chat here. Chat. Okay, Christine, you have an amazing energy. Such a pleasure to attend this presentation. Oh, thank you. Do you recommend documenting the engineering notebook during and throughout the process and after the end of the meeting? Yes, throughout. So if you've got a meeting and you're documenting, definitely document anytime you're summarizing a meeting. Actually, we do that. Not so much at the FL level, but definitely at the FTC level. And I think kids are old enough at the FRC level, is you sign who was there, who was at the meeting, so that they can, it's almost like homework, right? Well, I missed that, but what did we learn on that? So documenting your meetings is also very, very important. Very good question. Can everyone see my screen? You can raise your hand or that. Okay. I'm just going to assume yes. I'm still sharing. Oh, do you recommend documents? No, anybody else? No? Okay, questions, please. All right. So I will kind of blow this up a little bit bigger because you guys are probably looking at my background. All right. So I'm going to just jump back down to the goodies. So this is this team 8686. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Minnesota teams in general, but this shows you a very good page right here.
Kristen, yeah. Excuse me, Kristen. I'm not sure what you're trying to show, but we can see like just a folder with a few files listed. I'm not sure what you're trying to show. Okay,
all right, that's good. Thank you. I'm gonna stop share and then I'm gonna share again and I'll open up the file. Thank you guys for telling me. Okay. I'm so glad Paulina's here. See, I wouldn't know it. All right. Share.
I'm glad you're being here.
All right. Can you guys see my PDF, my giant PDF on the screen?
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay. All right. So this is, again, this is FTC, and I call FTC the miniature FRC robot in my mind, because really it's super cool. It's just like FRC, just tinier components. And it involves the same concepts, engineering process, everything is identical. It's just smaller. So I'm going to jump down to some of the things. So here are some quick visuals of their engineering like overview. They just kind of give, you know, their drivetrain, the glyph mechanism. So they particularly say what it is, and they just document it. You don't have to do this, like you can do this in a fancy document if you want. I recommend it. Again, earlier to my callback, here is the design process, all right? So they're showing the problem definition, specific requirements, brainstorming. So they're showing their process of what they do. And then, you know, they do their subsystems, and then their system level and integration, and then test prototype and assemble, build, and then, you know, they come back here again. Did they come up with a problem? How do they just kind of keep going around in this circle? Again, how I mentioned earlier, what were the tools that you used? Did you use finite element analysis? So again, it says you can find on page 572. Again, this is just sort of I highlight engineering section, doing a pre-section, and then you kind of get into the guts and glory of it. So then the design process to walk through our Scotch yoke, okay? So this is more of definitely of their engineering section of their notebook. Somebody asked earlier about the question about their meeting notes. That's in a separate document in all itself. So a lot of times I have people that just work on the meeting notes, and then I have some who really just want to dig down, well, this is what I want to work on, okay? So then the design process walkthrough, so they're showing this in full detail. They're describing everything in full detail. And this is what you have to do in real life too, like when you get a big person's job. Let's see if I can move on to some other stuff. So the really cool stuff that's different, you can use a lot of 3D printed parts, but I've seen amazing 3D printed parts even on FRC robots too. So this is just showing the test prototype, how they kind of came up with an assembly build. One of the other things, this is cool. So, and then the robot breakdown. You can do this too, guys. There's nothing wrong that says you can't do that. There are phones, you can take pictures, you share the picture, you do a brief summary about your robot, and you break it down. So then it's the drivetrain breakdown. I think I was kind of mentioning this a little bit earlier. The glyph, and it's describing everything in detail of how and what you need to kind of describe. If you have these visuals, I'm telling you, teams, you will be far more ahead, especially in this year and any year after this. If you have stuff like this to whip out and talk to a judge with and educate them, because we're, as engineers and visual people, like I said, 90% of the people learn through visual tools, and they retain their information more. If it's just you walk up and you start talking about your robot, and again, I'm going to miss the concept of really looking at it and going, oh, wow, that's really cool, and seeing how it functions. You're going to have to get back to this where you need to document this a little bit more in detail. Again, and then that's the relic system and how they did the lift breakdown. And then again, not briefly, it's an understatement. They described exactly, what it does. Let's see. So that is one concept. This is the other thing I think is really important to add in your notebook. It's coming. Sorry. I'm gonna have these little bookmarked ahead of time, but I'm so used to oh yeah, you can do this too. This was pretty cool. Let me go over to the rest here. Not that one here. Yeah, so they actually take some of the actual CAD subsystems and actually bring it in here. Yeah, so visuals like pictures like this, like how is your wiring set up? How did you set this up? Visual photography is perfectly okay. You don't have to do, the fancy pictures that I was showing you earlier. You can, it's doable, as you can see, but it's just showing how their battery compartments, isn't this cool? Isn't me like geeked out by this, like me? No? Yeah, raise the hands. Appreciation, or yeah, we'll kind of get back to that a little bit later. Yeah, there we go. Ben is like, yeah, that's cool. Love it, Ben. Yeah, the fun. Oh, there we go, Polina. So I need a little bit more interaction. I feel like I've just been, woo. Okay, bring my thing up at the top. Don't you always feel like you're still learning Zoom like every day? Like I didn't know about the annotations until today. So let me get down to the good stuff here. Oh yeah, this is funny. You guys will be geeked out about this. So they wanted to know what their design inspiration was, and so they took this after a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. And this is where the 3D printed parts came in. So these were the fenders that they built so nothing would get stuck, because this year the balls were kind of touchy, and so then they decided to add fenders to their robot. Stuff like that they find afterward, like, oh gosh, we got to fix that now, and so how do we solve that problem, is really kind of cool too. Oh, this was the other thing. So remember how I mentioned robot requirements? Very, very, very critical. How many of your teams do this by a thumbs up? How many of your teams do robot requirements? None? None of you guys do robot requirements. Okay, do robot requirements. If you contact Matea again or email her and you guys want a copy of this, it's just, well, this is the robot requirements specific to this robot season, but it's a simple, you know, I think this is an Excel spreadsheet just brought into InDesign. But, you know, what's the priority? What is your priority? What's your priority fixes? You cannot do this just by talking with a team. Somebody needs to document this, because if you have documentation just within your team, you're trying to help your other team members to come up with a decision. You can't just start building. Obviously, you got to go, okay, what are the requirements? What are we going to do? Stuff like that. That's really critical. This is kind of cool. This is something that, again, we learn in the real world. This is the CAD drawings. I get really impressed with teams who really work on CADing their robot first and then putting it together. And I can't tell you, I'll turn this again. You guys can make me stop anytime if you see something really interesting. Let's go back to, let's see. When I showed this to Todd, he was a little geeked out. He goes, how old are these kids? Well, these were sophomores and juniors in high school who did this work. That's when they won Worlds, was when they were still sophomores and juniors. So they get down to real huge detail of all of their drawings, all of their parts. They had a wonderful sponsor who built all their parts for them, called Machining Technologies. And again, but this is like a 3D printed part here. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. So again, that's the world champion robot. I'm going to stop and share another document. Here, I'm going to move this over here. And then I'm going to stop share. I'll open up the document. Again, I'm going to open to questions. Does anybody have any questions? No? Any takers? Ben, Jacob, Sean? No? I think I had some people drop off. Okay, so for those who are still on the call, I will open up another document. That's pretty cool. I think this one is a little bit more what they learned through the years of doing this of many years, is that quality versus quantity is really important. I'm gonna share my screen again. Share this one.
Christine, sure. We've got one question coming.
Yeah, yeah.
Where can we find all these documents?
Well, yeah, good question, right? My PowerPoint presentation will be available. This sort of documentation, now that they've been out and they've retired, I think now that they're finally willing to kind of share some of this content. So what I'll do, if you're particularly interested in it, I will, where's my chat? More chat. I will leave you guys my email address. And if you guys personally email me, I will email you these documents. How about that? I do want control of who's had them. I just don't want them shared out individually. I would love a one-on-one kind of like if one of my team members, now all of them are in college, they would love to reach out to you and do some mentoring. So that's sort of why I'm limited to sharing this information, is we want to spread the mentor knowledge, but also educate you guys individually rather than just giving you content. So I've shared my email address, goochgooch@earthlink.net. Just reach out to me and I will share this, because it does work really well for teams. So Cogset, another story about Cogset is they are a rookie team, not really. They had 4 members on the team. One had never done robotics at all. He was more of wanted to be a doctor, actually, a physician. But once he got into robotics, he was like, wow, I could work and be a doctor and build medical devices, right? So he was all geeked out about it. And then the other member was an FRC team, and he was at Mounds View High School. And he said, hey, I want to join your FTC team. So 2 members of height differential who were world champions then also developed this team because they were seniors. So we had to retire 86, 86 because, again, we came out of a basement of a home. We're not affiliated with a school. So it was important to kind of keep them together, but finish out the year in FTC. So the cool thing about this, and I'm just going to jump to it because I already kind of showed you some of it, which you can also do, I didn't show that in the first part, is, you know, do a bio on your teams. You know, explain who you are. That gives it kind of a heartfelt kind of communication back to the judges as well. And it actually makes everyone feel like they're a part of the team rather than, you know, hey, do a quick bio, do your picture, you know, send yourself in, especially when we're doing virtual kind of judging is very important. Again, this is the process tool here. And then here, they showed what applications they learned. Nothing is more important to me to figure out or be educated by you, the team, and me as the judge. So the judge, you're educating the judge what you learned. And showing some visuals of like, hey, we learned all of this. And these are all viable tools that are used in the workforce today. And then also how you honor your sponsors. Your sponsors love seeing their logos. So if you can put it into a documentation or add it to a slide, it's really important to really call out those different sponsors, I think. And then going back to the geekiness part of ourselves, because that's something we just, you know, should do, is always honor our sponsors. What's cool about this robot, I'm just going to jump down to the nitty gritty here. Bear with me. We're doing great on time. What to do? He thinks this would be hyperlinked, right? I think it's towards the end here. Yeah. Okay. So what's cool about this robot? And now I'm going to turn it over again. This robot won the design award in 2019 in Detroit, and I have a full picture of it. So you can see the CAD drawings again. Wonderful stuff, right? This little stamp, who signed off it. So when we printed these, we actually had the names and signatures, and you know that's when we had the real life touch feel part of it. Let me just look again over here. This robot here was 85% 3D printed. It was printed by Stratasys, so in total amount of time and labor, there was a lot of time spent in doing a lot of these drawings, these CAD drawings and stuff like that. It's really important. Now I've got ADD. So again, autonomous, if you're doing an autonomous award, you're going after that award, drawing out a diagram. So I'm changing subjects a little bit. I do that occasionally. I see something, I'm like, oh, I got to catch that. So if you're going after that autonomous award, this is what you're going to need to do. You're going to need to graphically draw out that field and show us what you do in those 30 seconds. Okay, what is that autonomous? And then down, explain specifically what you do, and then also add the code. Remember I talked about that earlier, guys? You got to add that code. And then kind of a cool thing is that Rover Ruckus, you know, it explains it. This tells me you did the work, right? But not only that, say something crashed and you didn't have this, okay? And somebody had to rewrite it and you're at a tournament. oh, we have that code, or what, do you remember? That's where documentation is going to save you. Okay, somebody deleted something, hope not, they have version control and stuff like that. But I don't know if my team's ever had to go back to this level, but I know we did in FLL. If we didn't have a picture of the robot, we wouldn't have been able to put the Lego parts back together. I think we did that one year. Yeah, so again, documenting that autonomous is really important. You know, how's your gyro turn work, or how do you do that? All of it is critical, and if you have it documented and you can show and you can speak to it, it's amazing. But not only that, not just for judging, guys, it's basically for you and a learning tool for all of you, and taking turns on it. And you know, like I said in my intro before, it's not everyone's favorite homework project, right? And it's very difficult to do. So you can see even the spools were 3D printed. Even in this, the axles were printed. So the axles were 3D printed. They worked specifically with Stratasys. See if I can find that particular right here. This is crazy, guys. Oops, look at it. The axles were 3D printed. Right here. Look at that. So when they printed it the first time, it broke, okay? So then they worked with Stratasys and they had to redo their CAD drawing so it printed a different direction. But that was really super, super, super cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop share, and I wanna open it up. I wanna see people's faces. I'm just seeing people's names. But let's have, for this last few moments here, let's have some more questions, or if you want me to share something, I definitely can.
Kristen, your email address, should it be shared within the entire group?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Yep. The ones who are on this call, that's fine. It's gonna get out. I don't mind. Again, it's just more of we're handing this off to you. This is great information, a great notebook, and one should be that everyone should follow at a level of whatever you do. But yeah, go ahead. You can definitely share that, especially with this group that's joined this session. So, any other questions, guys? I see some have dropped off. I'm glad my energy was high today.
It was amazing.
Well, I'm very passionate about it. I think that's the one thing as a coach and a mentor that I provided to my team. I'm not an engineer. I mean, definitely we had an engineer on our team, but the one thing that I provided was the documentation part, because I work with this stuff all the time. In a legal format, you can't get anything passed with the FDA without having documentation, right, Felina? So you're just learning the one more tool that you take with you. You know, a lot of times, some of my kids have taken that same engineering notebook and taken it to an interview for their internship and said, well, this is what I did in high school. What would you like me to do now? You know, so it's pretty impressive, especially if you can document anything. Yeah, so Ben, great. What team are you from? They can share their audio. There you go.
I'm from team 4230, I believe. This is my first year on FIRST Robotics.
Oh, well, welcome. Welcome. Did you like the documentation that I was showing?
Yeah, it's really neat. Did you make all of that every year? That seems like it would take a really long time.
It did. It did, but they kept up on it because they would work on it all the time. There is a section, I don't know if anyone wants to get into it. I do have just a notebook just for the meeting notes. If anyone's curious if they want to see that. Let me pull that up for you too, because we broke it down into two different things. Because the engineering section is, let's go back to my Zoom here. All right, can you guys see my screen again?
Yes, we can see the PDF file.
Okay, awesome. So again, this is just the team. Oh, this was really cool. Gosh, this brings back memories. So this does your outreach analytics of how much your outreach hours are. So they had 537 outreach hours, and they just kind of broke it down into kind of a pie chart, easy visual, right? So if I'm a judge, I'm going to see this. That's pretty amazing. Another thing I did with my team, because when they were young, it's really hard to communicate with them. And it's good for everyone. This is one of the questions I got in my last presentation I gave. You gave your kids the Myers-Briggs test? Yeah, because a lot of them, I had to learn, as a coach, I had to learn how to communicate with them. But more than that, they learned how to communicate with each other. And so this was something cool to add to the bio. And this got them really kudos points in judging as well, because they're like, wow, that's intense. It just became because these 4 boys were together for so long. I actually gave them to this when they were a freshman in starting in FTC, actually 8th grade. I think it was 9th grade I gave it to them. But as far as getting down to some of their stuff here, they list out all of, their business plan. Again, you have to be documenting this for the Chairman's Award, which is really, really important. And then they kind of go, oh, a SWOT analysis too. I judged a team the other day, or not the other day, a couple of years ago, who had a SWOT analysis. But it was about their robot. Okay, here it's just a SWOT analysis about, their strengths, their weaknesses, meeting for fundraising goal, opportunities. All of this is important. So I always think of FRC and FTC like a tiny little business, right? And you're trying to all communicate and work together and figure out how to get some stuff done. As far as the documentation of meeting notes, this is an example. Oh, not quite there yet. Oh, this is a campaign they do, Just One, Inspire, Recruit. Do campaigns too. Again, about that outreach. Come up with something unique about how you engage with other kids and stuff. Keep looking here. Let's see. Oh. This team got really involved. It's kind of an impressive notebook. Anyway, so again, the outreach, it lists, how many people they impacted that day. This is getting really intense, but okay, so it talks about outreach again. I guess you just jump. Meetings. Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier, how documenting meetings is really important. So, today, and they did this just with a Word doc, okay, and then they incorporated them all into one final thing. So the Word doc was 2017, blah, 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 just like I was explaining the document file management earlier before. It describes when they met, 1 to 10:30 p.m. I know they worked hard. After seeing the game reveal, they sat down. Somebody's wrote all this out. I mean, the relic. So they've done all of this. I mean, this is pretty intense. But this is the stuff they needed in order to communicate. Okay. But also you can see the pictures that they've drawn here as some more of their brainstorming ideas. Are critical, and then they would do sort of again, this is really, I think you guys have already done this. Hopefully you have, like, the different points and how, just some brainstorming, sheet of paper, and we took a picture of it and added it to the notebook. This year, rules have changed a little bit on the notebook. Still want to keep an engineering notebook, but you have a chance to use 15 pages to sell yourself, basically. So again, kind of doing the meeting notes again. You just put the time and who was there. I mean, who attended, and the location, and then, kind of they're getting their Annie Mark shipment. That's pretty funny. They documented everything. They absolutely documented everything, which you don't need to go to that level. My team did, because they felt that it helped them. So, and again, another requirements document here for this, here, and then it develops over time, like what are things we can check off. Is really important. So really kind of cool, some really cool visuals. This is cool. They took the actual CAD drawing. They had to, so this is an autonomous run, where this year they had to go in and knock one of the balls off. And they show the math. Look at this, So here's our input, here's our output, stuff like that. So all of this is really, 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 really cool to see too, right? How many teams are already doing this? Or anyone going to this level of documentation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And I can tell you, judging FRC, when I see this, I know those teams had someone on FTC. If not, it doesn't matter. You don't have, but I'm just saying, as a judge, it's very, 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 very helpful for me to have visuals. Yeah, I'm a visual learner, but like I said earlier, 90% of our brain retains stuff that is seen visually. And so if I can visually see it, know you did it, and I can go back to it, you're going to get kudos for that for me in a judging session.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Kristen, for this presentation. I've learned a lot. I'm not even an engineer. I'm working for Medtronic, but in a totally different department. But thank you so much for this presentation today. We'll have to wrap up because we have another one in about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, reach out.
So much.
If you're afraid to speak on this, you have my email address. You can reach out to me, and maybe I'll connect some of my ex-team members, my past team members, to can reach out to you to do any sort of mentoring. Because I did have many FTC teams mentor FRC. My FTC team mentored an FRC team. So, and likewise, the FRC team mentored them as well. Okay. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you for joining. I hope this has been helpful.